Alright, so in this one, we are going to be doing my top 10 list for part 1 of the 6th anniversary of Dragon Ball Legends. I have compiled a couple characters, 10 characters here, that have made the top 10. And actually, you will see if we scroll up that there is a 1A, 1B, because 2 characters here, you could probably assume who they are tied. I cannot fully differentiate them to be a number differential, so I would say 1A, 1B, because there's one quirk that gives one the advantage, but the other is not far behind to where it would be just a full-on lowered setting. But for the 10 units, just to point them out, there is UI Sign Goku, the Ultra, Goku Bardock, Super Vegeta, Gohan, Super Baby 2, Nappa, Vegeta, Golden Frieza, Super 17, USB, GT Goku, and Gogeta Blue. Just to say, there's a couple more units you could have as a little contenders, which I could mention real quickly. I'm thinking of this new green Broly right here. He actually is a pretty solid unit. I've heard a lot of good talking about Shin currently. I do not have a good opinion on Shin Shenron, or Shin Shenron? Right, Kai, Shin, Supreme Kai, whatever the hell his name is. Who cares about him, really? Relevant character, but I don't really have a cool opinion on him, so I'd kind of leave him on the back burner. But I would say Broly, Pikkon, Gogeta, and then Shin all have kind of that number 10 contention area, / they're all this top 15 area regardless. But what I put is actually someone different. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 units, with number 10 being Goku Bardock. Now, you will be surprised to hear this because, well, you haven't seen them at all. They have been irrelevant since Gohan, since Frieza, since the game kind of went in this nature where you can't click these strike cards. You're not effective in any mannerism of blast armor or clicking strikes. So what could you do? Well, Goku Bardock have gained value because you are more in a setting of goodness with the current units that now exist. Obviously, Vegeta being blue. Okay, well, here is the Goku Bardock. Obviously, the two sides there being a different element factor. You can be advantage at one point, which gives some value to them, as well as these are Sun Family units, so you can run new Sun Family with both fusions together with Goku Bardock. You can run a full Saiyan roster. Same kind of concept there, but you could do that as well. And the most important benefactor of their kits is having Indestructible. Vegeta has Anti-Revival. He has Anti-Endurance on his Rush. He has a lot of things that are just like, hey, if I do my Rush, you're guaranteed whooped and dead. So what's the best mechanics? It would be Indestructible, Comeback Mechanic, which 2 units here have that. And that would be the best thing kind of to offset the main premise of the 1A, 1B character of Vegeta being his rush, I guess, prowess that he does have. So Goku Bardock, again, not in the greatest spot. They are not the oldest characters. They should be probably a bit higher because they should have aged a bit better. I guess Beast and Evo Ken not being here is good, considering Goku Bardock barely made it as well, but it's been a minute since they've been kind of able to be relevant. They're just kind of meta relevant. They're not really full on, yeah, they're back in business, baby, but they're back because they're better off against this current new units than some others could have been. Like, let's say the element factors changed a little bit, boom, I could see Red Beast here instead. It's not too much of a differential, but they're number 10. They made it, and I think that's good enough for where they've been, because this unit has not been discussed for top 10 for a hot minute. Now, number 9, I do have USB. Probably had him a little bit higher in the past just because his durability was much more effective. Obviously, that is a thing that will just subside throughout the time period that we're going to go through. You have these new units with higher damage inflicted, with easier damage, yada yada. Defense always gets kind of tracked down and murdered first. This guy, while he is a defender and one of the better defenders in this game, he is slowly losing that value, right? Also, he has some wonkiness in his kit. That no key on entry is a bit stupid. I believe he has some other silly things that kind of go on. I think he should heal a bit more when he does take cards. I think he heals like 2 or 3%. It should be like 5 to 6%, to be honest with you. Because again, your tanking will always go down. You will never be a fully fledged, like, I can tank for years. That can't and doesn't exist ever. It's never ever existed in this game. Maybe like a year peak for some units, but that's even like early on in the game's history. USB, GT Goku, he's in a fine spot, but he's not in the greatest. He hasn't gained or lost value particularly because of these units, because like element factor doesn't affect him in being just a solo blue. But I guess you don't need him as much because you only see one red here. Do I really need my blue unit as much? No, Goku Bardock here because they're half green, right? So they're helping deal with Vegeta, again, indestructible, all that. GT Goku, well, I don't need this blue. I don't need to stop any amazing 6 million reds. There's one red here. So his value of advantage coloring doesn't really play a tune here, but it's just more his defenses have taken a hit, not because of his own self, but because units are just stronger and units are going to get better, and then they're going to hit harder, they're going to hit faster, they're going to do more. Yeah, no, that's tough. Like, these units full heal 100% on transformation. GT Goku, he's done healing. Like, he gets murdered, he gets kind of clobbered by these two units pretty fast, and it's a bit harsh, but hey, he's still top 10. It's not a bad unit. Any unit that's like top 20 right now probably is a pretty good unit in my book. So if you're in the top 10, you're good enough. You're very good. It's just you could see some units are taking hits more than not than the others. But to continue, I do have number 8 here being Nappa of Vegeta. Now, personally, I don't own them. I wasn't playing when they were out. Their banner, I think, is just like barely around still. I did one summon, like the 300 step, literally step 1. I didn't get him. I was like, all right, I don't care enough. Cool unit. I've seen some good things. Again, all I know is from other people's experience with 2 units here being a high star baby and Nappa of Vegeta. Because my baby's low stars and Nappa of Vegeta I don't own. But again, from what I've seen, they have some goodness. They're not overwhelming, right? You look at, again, kind of similar thing to Baby here. There's no full-on overwhelming thing that you look at, you know, Gogeta Blue, his auto combo is a little bit overwhelming to an extent, where Vegeto's damage is just like really crazy, where both these units just have really good synergistic hits within their own right and within other characters. Nappa of Vegeta are good. They do their job. They're a solid purple. They might be taking bigger hits more and more as we move through the celebration here, because there is 3 yellows right above them, right? So it's a bit spooky, but they also are a purple, which helps deal with Ultra Gohan, and they have pretty good teams. I've seen them on, what is it, PO rosters, Full Saiyan rosters, and a few others, but they seem good enough. They don't seem anything overwhelming. If they were to drop out of top 10, I wouldn't be surprised. I think anybody 8 and below is very susceptible to just drop out due to meta standard of like what's the best element factors and what's the better off counter. I think 8 through 10 kind of has that feel of, yeah, anybody here could just like die out, and it wouldn't be like, oh, they're terrible. It's just, well, this new color dropped and your value went down because this element factor is your disadvantage, and well, you got to go for now. You could resurge, kind of like Goku Bardock have, but it might take a bit of time, which I think Nappa of Vegeta kind of hit that. Again, they're good, they're above average, but they're not overwhelming. Overwhelming kind of starts to appear once you hit number 7 here and above. And speaking on that, number 7, I think will be a little bit of a shocker here, but I think it is Super 17. Now, yeah, very obvious. You could see a blue, and a blue. And one of those blues will be in a very high tier. Though, there is 2 yellows, so Super Baby 2 and Gogeta Blue. The thing is, with Vegeta, why would you not run Vegeta with Gogeta? So there's always coverage there. And then Baby, well, you could run Vegeta with Baby, sure. You could also run USV with Baby. You could also run Goku Bardock with Baby. You could also run Vegeta, Goku Bardock, and Baby. So there's so many blues to cover these yellows. It's a bit rough for Super 17, and if you're trying to run Super 17 and Gohan, that duo that's been a thing since kind of that inception of Gohan's creation, you can. It's just, it doesn't feel as effective as it could have been maybe once upon a time. Like, you still have Frieza that could be leader slotted on like a fusion roster. It's like Frieza, Vegeta, Gogeta. Okay, well, how do I deal with this when I have red, green androids with Gohan leadered? It's a bit tough. That team still can do work, obviously. It's glazing to hell, but it's just a bit tough to do. Super 17 is in a spot not bad for himself. Obviously, the character is super strong, super brain dead, and super powerful, overpowered really to an extent. But you got 3 blues, you got yellows that are here. Sure, why not? That's fine, but they're covered so well. You got indestructible, you got a full heal, you got healing on taken cards. Like, all these blues are having really good coverage on their own merit of just living long. Not just their damage, just their merit of living, which is more effective than anything that could really happen here. So Super 17, inevitably, with it being so many blues, such good blues, has to go down. Hasn't gone down much, well, at least from what I've heard, because I think from, you know, the prior pre-Annie stuff, he was still like being talked about as like, oh yeah, he's gonna start dwindling soon. And now we kind of see that effect of that dwindling. Again, you can have him a little bit higher, maybe 6 at best for me. But I think this is a fine nature. Again, anything 7 and up is just kind of really, really strong characters that are baseline super strong to overpowered. And then 8 and below is like, okay, this is kind of the meta where we're in. These units are good for this meta, but they could fall through. Super 17, I don't see him falling off top 10, but he is falling down just because his setups are not as good as they once were. There's just better setups that now exist. Number 6, I do have UI Goku. UI Goku is in a fine spot. Again, yellows are kind of free to thrive right now because there only is one red. You have such good coverage in blues. I already discussed this, but that's exactly it. There's not much else to say about UI Goku. He's been in a pretty consistent area. I think he's always been this kind of top 5 to like top 7 area for like his entire livelihood. So yeah, he's not moving much. Even when Super 17 like was first out, I believe UI was still top 10 bare minimum. So he's not moving much. He's chilling right here. I don't see any reason to move him any lower or any higher. I guess you could argue him maybe one spot more, considering who is going to be number 5, maybe be interchangeable, but I actually think number 5 would be a bit better off in the current meta. But yeah, no, he's just chilling right there. There's not much I can really say about this character. Hasn't already been said. He does his lock, he does his blast damage, and he does good. So why change anything? There's just no need. Number 5, with it being Super Baby 2. Now again, I will go through this here and say I do not have a high star Super Baby 2. My Super Baby 2 is like 5 or 6 stars. So what I've seen, my knowledge on this character is what I've faced in high star Super Baby 2s in the past and what I've seen just online. And for what I can garner and gather, I do feel what he is doing and kind of his gauge is what puts him over the edge of UI. I think UI has potential to have these lock-in snipe kills. Potential. But if you have anything where it's like you're facing me, so I have high stars and my equipment are good and my bench is good and it's just a typical normal team, not some silliness, but a typical normal team, and you try to do your UI snipe with a good star UI, I'll probably live it. So that lock in there, you're like, oh, I could hopefully get a kill here. You don't get the kill. And then Baby gets his gauge where he's removing your vanish, he's destroying your hand, and you kind of are forced to swap out. I feel like that forceability to swap out, that forceability to where I can predict that you have to play this way, and then I can make something happen more effectively and to a better mannerism, I think is stronger from Baby. And also, doesn't he give like 20% damage inflicted against Saiyans? Like, doesn't he give that to his team? Vegeta, Gogeta, Saiyans, UI Goku, Nappa Vegeta, GT Goku, Goku Bardock. Literally 3/4 of this list is all Saiyans. Baby himself is a Saiyan. Like, yeah, he's he's helping a lot in the supportive nature, in kind of a not full disrupt, but more forceability of like action, where again they have to swap, they have to do that, they have to do this because of his gauge, because of his mechanics. Clearly I'm referring to high star babies here because low star ones will not get their gauge consistently or a lot. I wouldn't say they even get their gauge more than twice, but still he does that where he can also lock in, he has some obscure, he has good damage on his own merit. Like, Baby is gonna be one of those units kind of like a Ginyu Goku kind of era where he was super strong, but like no one used him, no one owned him. You didn't even need him high stars for Ginyu Goku in that specific setting, but people didn't use the character often. He was good, he was very good, he was top 10 for, you know, a lot of people, but he was on the lower spectrum of it because no one really owned him. Well, no one really owns a high star Baby. When you do run into them, then you kind of see his prowess. I guess the best comparison could be Ultra Broly, right? People weren't running into high star Ultra Broly's 24/7, but if you did, you understood why he was rated like top 2, I believe it was, on release. Like, I had a 14-star Broly. I understood why he was there. Not a lot of people did because they didn't have those stars. And Baby hits this star alliance. See, fun fact, Baby's gauge is very similar. It's probably just an upgrade if you really think about it. Variants of Broly's gauge, which is why both are star reliant, because they both have that same mechanic behind their entire baseline foundation of what they're meant to do, which is kind of disrupt and force you to do XYZ attacks and XYZ plays. Then other characters aren't making you do that. They might do stronger things, but they're not making you do that, which they would be above you if they're making you do stronger things here. So that's why Baby is number 5. I know, long-winded on that one, but I do feel like the explanation for him is valuable, because I don't think you will run into this character very often at high stars. But if you do, you will experience why he actually is rated so highly, I feel. Now, number 4, we do have Mr. Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now, I was kind of considering 4 and 5 be interchangeable, but I do feel, I guess now, after playing more, that Gohan still has his value. Clearly, Vegeta is good against him with his rush thing. Fun fact, you will not, don't try to do it, because it's just not going to happen. Even if you have, a 4-star Vegeta to a 5-star Gohan, I literally have done this. You can't kill on, a rush guess. If they guess your rush and you try to rush with Vegeta, yeah, you're not killing. You're doing, 1.9 million to, a Gohan if they guess your rush. Even if they don't guess your rush, they'll probably live. Don't full health try to rush a Gohan. You can't. You gotta, get him down a little bit to 70%, 60%, then rush him. And that's exactly the thing where Gohan has still good value, right? Vegeto's anti-Gohan kind of mechanism to him, which both fusions kind of have an anti-Gohan mechanism, but Vegeto's himself is not always 100% effective. Gogeta's is obviously very good, with it being that, oh yeah, I can just chill out, do my auto strikes, he doesn't have his gauge proccing, cool, great. But that's the thing, you have to get to the fusions. The fusions, they don't take too long to get to. Vegeta definitely should consistently take longer, because his is Dragon Ball related. Gogeta's is more literally tag base related, so you would usually get Gogeta's faster, but they take a little bit of time, probably 2 to 3 combos worth to get there. Gohan can still decimate. There is 2 purples here. That's the thing with it. And there's also UI Goku right there. Gohan UI is still a duo that's very strong. Again, Super 17 is seeing a lot less play right now, so you could probably run that even more effectively. If nothing, I could probably vouch you running 2 yellows right now, and you would be perfectly happy with it. The amount of lessness, I guess you could say, of seeing Super 17 is very high. So if you want to try that, feel free, but that's exactly my point. Gohan, he's not fully worried about all these other characters. He's kind of, I guess, aware of Gogeta's mechanic, or aware of Vegeta's mechanic, and, well, a little bit thinking about Frieza, but then he has his yellow, savior there. If you want to run Gogeta, UI, and I guess you can do that, but Gogeta and Gohan together, or, just kind of a dual synergy of a green-yellow, you'll be safe. You let, Gogeta pop Frieza's comeback, okay, then you full heal when you transform into Gogeta and get 100% health back. That exists. That's a thing that's right there, free for the taking, and you can just do that very simply. So Gohan, he actually has a pretty consistent value. I'm actually pretty impressed that he's maintained such a good value in this. Obviously, he does not have any really bad things to him. I mean, he was thriving when he was not really even been Zenka buffed as anything on a setup of red, green with Revival Cell and Super 17. Gohan was just there. He wasn't Zenka buffed, he was just there, and he was still doing pretty good work and being the god that he can be. Annoying little rat bastard he is, but still, gotta give him the kudos. He is still a very good character. Now, number 3 is going to be Golden Frieza. Yeah, I am shocked by 1A, 1B as well. Yes, very much so. Golden Frieza. Well, value, I guess you could say technically went down, because he was number 1, I think. I'm pretty sure he was. If not, he was very close to it. I'm pretty sure he's number 1, though. I don't know who the fuck else could have been. But, yeah. A new yellow dropped, so the purple guy goes down a little. The thing is that yellow runs with the purple because they have color, synergy. Well, not even color synergy, I guess. Blue-purple has color synergy. They have tags. They have the same tags, movies. So you could also just do that, so it doesn't fucking matter fully. But Frieza, he is a purple. There is 3 goddamn yellows. He has to take a little bit of a hit. I know in his post comeback state, he's fully defensive neutral, and he's doing type neutral, effectiveness, I believe, on his ultimate post his comeback, I believe it is there, which is cool, that's great, but clearly his damage is not going to be the most absurd thing to these yellows when he is only type neutral on 1 card post comeback, and never before and never after that, right? So he has to take a bit of a hit. It's just more that these units are better. That's just kind of it. They're not more toxic and more, brain dead than literally free damage to the opponent because you died and were playing badly, probably, or got caught. No, but they are just better off in their own synergy and their own teams, and that's why Frieza's number 3. He didn't lose anything, really. If anything, he gained more because movies just got another buff, for fucking God's sake, especially with Green Broly, who, by the way, I said was arguable top 10, if not is guaranteed top 15. Yeah, no, movies is really goddamn strong. It's one of the best 6-man rosters. You're playing crowd battle. Fusions, movies. Use those. You know, drop those hybrids or Saiyans, whatever the fuck you're doing. Fusions, movies. Like, you're set for life. I guess fusions. No, fusions would be fine. Movies better, though. Definitely movies better. But 1A, 1B, again, there's a differential between 1A and 1B, which 1A would be the better unit, and 1B would be the little bit worse unit, but not really worse just because, well, that's not a full-on thing. They would be number 2 if they were full-on worse. But what I see right now is that Gogeta, and I've explained it a couple of times, but I'll explain it once again. Gogeta's mechanism, his best mechanism here, is something that right now is very effective against few units. You know, you think about it, it's good against UIs because they auto-dodge and they can auto-do these things. UI Goku here, number 6, and Gohan. That's kind of like where it shines the most. That's great. But Gogeta has no cover null outside of spamming strikes. So the dilemma in that is all these other units in the entire game can just cover change in. And on top of, just letting that soak in, and on top of, you can't do any tech, so you would get a lot more cards doing charge steps and side steps and all this stuff. That's just 1000% fact. You can't do that, you can't see that, you can't gain that, I guess, advantage other units can gain, because he doesn't have any way to get cover null in Gogeta Blue. Obviously in the pre, he is very strong to get cover null, you know, on these tag outs and all, just like Vegeta does, but in post, it's just his effectiveness on his big mechanic is very limited right now. Now, it could gain more value because more units get such mechanics like Gohan and UI, which I hope to God doesn't happen. But for now, that's just it. That's why he's below. His limitation on that is just worse. Fun fact, actually, in my opinion, I think it's very clear, and it's not even like a debate. The pre-transformation of both these characters, I think the blue boys are much better, like a lot better than base Goku Vegeta. Like, pre-transformation, GB is clearing, but post, I think SV does edge it out. You know, you had that rush thing, so you have all these units that have revival. Okay, SV has anti-revival to an extent, kind of like a lesser G4, but still it's anti-revival to an extent. And the full nullify endurance, which is effective against many units. The only ones that are kind of immune to his anti-rush thing would be Frieza and Goku Bardock. That's not a lot. A lot of the game is very hurt by Vegeto's rush mechanic. It's just the nature of how strong it is and how older units are just going to get more dwindled down. And a lot of units on this list are very much hurt by that. So Vegeta has a more broad approach to where his mechanic is, you know, being, I guess, proactive versus Gogeta. His is much more, you know, grouped. It's much more, okay, centric to these characters specifically, where it's at its peak best scenario that you really want to use it. And that's why I would, again, feel like Vegeta edges out Gogeta. The thing is, they're just running on the same team. They're literally color synergy, blue-yellow. Like, why would you not run them together? You want to run a third with them? Okay, you could run UI on leader. Okay, you could run literally anybody. Probably would run Frieza on leader because, well, it's a full strike-based team, and that's probably the best team in the game. Like, it's just so easy, simple. Frieza doesn't need Zenkai buffs. You could run double HP bench for these two. Zenkai buff them as well. Like, you could do literally everything in the world for these dudes, and they will be vibing out. But yeah, that's it. There's not much more I need to say about them because you know the effectiveness of these characters. They are very healthy for what they do compared to other mechanics that are in the game. Looking at Frieza, looking at Gohan, looking at Super 17, looking at UI. Those are very unhealthy mechanics where you literally can't play the game, or it's just very autopilot feature. Vegeta, Gogeta, they have risk factors where you could transform early, and well, maybe you'll waste it. But you got that free kill, but you wasted the 100% heal. You see how there's a risk to that? There's a risk reward with these characters, and they actually made it where the risk reward also is still making them good enough to where they are the top of the game, which I think a lot of people are agreeing with. At least one of these two fusions, if not both, are usually being called number one on their spectrum of goodness here. But to recap it, number 1/1A, 1B is going to be Super Vegito and Gogeta Blue. Number 3, obviously, because number 2 would be Gogeta Blue technically, is going to be Golden Frieza. Number 4 is Ultra Gohan. Number 5, Super Baby 2. Number 6, UI Omen. Number 7, Super 17. Number 8, Nappa Vegeta. Number 9, GT Goku. Number 10, Bardock Goku. Let me know what you guys think of my top 10 list of part 1 of Dragon Ball Legends 6th anniversary. I'll see you guys in the next one. By the way, I hope LF Broly Zenkai is good enough to be considered top 10. Won't update this if he is, but I sure hope he is, because for part 2, that'd be nice to actually be able to include that character, because he needs to be good. Like, it's LF Broly. Please. See ya!